take on Southampton at St Mary's tomorrow in what feels like a really important game for Wolves and Bruno Lage. In terms of the table, Wolves and Southampton are pretty equal, 15th and 16th respectively. Although you could probably and Southampton haven't actually won a game yet. Although I feel like we'd probably take their results over ours, if you get what I mean, in the fact that they've drawn against Man United, they've drawn against Man City, they've drawn against West Ham, albeit with 10 men. Although, if you look at expected points, Wolves are quite a bit above Southampton. Southampton kind of performing to their level. But I'm not going to lie, I'm really worried about this game. I do think we will lose this game, or not win it anyway. Not to be too negative, but I don't actually think Southampton's squad is particularly good on paper, but I think they have a really good manager in Ralph Hasenhüttl. And then there's things about this side which concern me, especially James Ward-Prowse's set pieces, and the fact that Southampton press a lot. Plus also their big weakness was Alex McCarthy in goal last season. Like, he was genuinely woeful. Like, the goalkeeping stats last season in the Premier League, he was literally the worst goalkeeper. Negative 8.1 post-shot expected goals is ridiculous. That's one of the worst I've ever seen. He was terrible last season, but he's picked up now. He's doing perfectly fine. So that's not really a weakness for them anymore. And with James Ward-Prowse's set pieces, we're really bad at defending long balls, and we concede a lot of headers from corners, and that worries me. James Ward-Prowse. Plus Che Adams against Connor Cody would concern me, because we all know Connor Cody's going to play. Che Adams is a big physical guy. That worries me. There are things about Southampton which I just look at, and this feels like a game that I could just see us losing. Plus Southampton are a really good pressing side, which I feel like I'm saying this every week, but if you look at the top pressing sides in the Premier League this season, Brentford obviously did a job on us last week, and Southampton are very similar in terms of their pressing numbers. And unlike Tottenham, they're actually pretty good at it as well. And we saw Tottenham in the first half an hour in midweek in the Carabao, and then Brentford on the Saturday. We do struggle against pressing sides, and Southampton have decent aerial players with James Ward-Prowse's delivery. So there are things about them which concern me, which is why I would stick. This is the team I'd pick. This is why I would stick with back three for this game. Personally, I'd switch to a back four next week against Newcastle, just because I think Newcastle are rubbish and Steve Bruce is a terrible manager, so I would experiment in that game. Whereas I don't think this is the game to experiment. Although Southampton aren't that good on paper, I trust Ralph Hasenhüttl. I don't trust Steve Bruce. Personally, I'd bring in Hwang Hee-chan for Francisco Trincao. Nothing against Trincao, I like him. I think he's been perfectly fine, but I think we need to freshen it up a bit. I'd happily have Daniel Podence as well. And I think that's the one area I do look at weakness for Southampton. Livermento's had a really good start at right back, but the guy's 18, he's a kid. And then Kyle Walker-Peters is playing out of position at left back. Or I assume he'll still play there. Maybe Perard will come in. But Adama and Hwang should have some fun out wide. And I trust Raul Jimenez to have a good game against Jack Stevens. I'd bring Dendoncker in midfield. I don't rate Dendoncker, but I'm a believer in if someone has a good game, you should play them. And he was the only person that looked like, he's played one game and got one goal and an assist. You kind of have to give that to him. And I don't think Ruben Neves was good in midweek, but he's our best midfielder, so you kind of have to play him. He's got concussion, so obviously you have to keep Marçal. Now, I am playing Connor Cody, and purely because I don't feel like there's anyone else that can really play that, and I wouldn't switch to a back four. And I think Willy Bolly coming in will help a lot. Kilman moving back over to the left will help. I have no issue with Roman Sace playing there, but I'll give Connor Cody this game. I think in midweek against Tottenham, by the way, subscribe to the channel for more Wolves content. But I think in midweek against Tottenham, you could make the argument that Jesse Mosquera's injury kind of destabilised Connor Cody. You could make that argument, right? And that's fine. This is his game for me. I'd give him this game. I'd stick with the back five one more game. And just for a bit of stability as well. I don't want to be making too many changes in that defence. And then obviously keep Jose Sarr in goal. And, I remember we switched to the back four last season against Southampton, and it worked out okay, I guess, but it didn't look impressive. And for me, like I said earlier, this is one of those games where Southampton are a good pressing side and they're good in the air. And I don't think you really want to be switching to a back four, which this will help us against a press for me. If you've got a back five, it gives you more passing options. It allows you to play a bit safer. And I think Nelson Semedo will help as well. Like, as much as I like Kiana Herber, he's not as good on the ball. And Marçal is a conservative passer, so if Southampton are pressing, he won't give the ball away. As much as I don't rate Marçal that highly, He's an experienced guy. He should be able to handle it. Then Dunker handled Tottenham's press better than I expected him to midweek. And then it's just kind of on the front guys to produce. You know, it feels like we're kind of just saying this every week, but it's on those guys to produce. You know, Southampton do have strengths. They have pace in there, Redmond, Gineppo, Armstrong, Adams, which I assume will be their front four. But that defence, it's okay. And Alex McCarthy's got better recently. I don't mind Jan Bednarek, but that defence on paper, you know, Raul Jimenez, Trincao, Adama, Podence, whoever plays, even if Fabio Silva started, we should be scoring some goals in this game. I'm not confident. I think we'll probably draw or lose this game. Personally, just because I don't think we can handle getting pressed right now. But this is a big game for Wolves. You know, going out the Carabao Cup, it's all on the league now. And I think it's big for Bruno as well, because if you look at the Premier League table right now, if we lose this game, there's a good chance we will drop into the relegation zone, which I'm not bothered about. It's 6 games in. But you know what the old school Wolves fans are like. He'll switch on the board. People will blame Bruno Lage, and then they'll say we shouldn't have got rid of Nuno. This is a huge game for Wolves. And I think even if we get a point, I think that's fine. And it alleviates the pressure on the next game. Because if we lose this game and go into that Newcastle game, that's such a pressure cooker then. And it won't allow Bruno Lage to switch to back four. He'll have to stick with this. And you don't want that going into that Newcastle game. You want that to be kind of a free hit where we can experiment. And we don't have a good record against Newcastle. We always draw or lose to them. So this is an important game. And again, I don't think we'll win it. Hopefully a draw. Although we do have a decent record at St Mary's, to be fair. But I'm not confident. If I had to bet on it, I'd put like a 1-1 draw. I just want to see us score some goals. Because I think if Jimenez gets a goal, if Adama Traore gets an assist, if Hwang has another good game, or Podence or whoever comes in. I wouldn't mind Podence or Hwang, by the way. I just think Hwang's a bit more physical. And I think when you look at Livramento and Kyle Walker-Peters and how slow Stevens and Bednarek are, I think you want as much physicality and pace as you can against that back four. But yeah, to sum up, I'm not confident. I think Southampton will outpress us. And unless Bruno Lage does something crazy and it kind of changes, I think this Southampton game is just the worst possible game at probably the worst possible time. So that's just my thoughts on the game. I hope we win. I hope it's not another Brentford, but I kind of think it will be. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, peace.